All right. So we are live there. And then we're going to start a recording here so that we can be on our podcast. Thank you for those of you who have tuned in. We are still live here at the Hastings Pride in Hastings, Nebraska. We're having a little funky stuff going on with our feed, but I do have a microphone on my guest. If you are watching us on Facebook, you are seeing my guest only, and that's totally fine. If you're watching us on Twitch, you are also only seeing a guest. If you want to see my happy mug, which again is not a requirement, you can check me out on YouTube or Twitch. So actually, Twitch might be running two live streams simultaneously, one of me and one of my guests. And so right now, joining us in the Speaking of Happy Pride trailer is Danielle Hilligus, who works as direct support staff. Danielle, thank you so much for joining me today in this conversation. Oh, you know what I forgot? I'm going to ask you, we're actually not recording yet. So we're going to start over. And then when I start for the podcast, it'll be a completely separate thing.
Okay.
But you were telling me earlier, what is it that you do for fun?
It just depends upon the season.
Okay. So do you like to garden? Like, what do you like to do?
If it's in the fall or in the spring, me and my daughter, we go on walks. If it's in the summer, we go to the lake, go to the river, the outdoorsy stuff. And if it's in winter, we just stay in and watch movies.
Okay. I'm going to have all of these kinks worked out with this whole system. I'm talking to the people that are listening, but I'm going to have all of these kinks worked out with this whole system. Whoa, that is playing the wrong song. I'm trying to run too many things all at once here. And then just go back a couple of beats. There we go. I think that's it. Yep. All right. So this is going to seem a little weird because I'm going to start talking and it's going to seem like I'm starting all over again, but I'm actually starting for the podcast only in this particular case. So I'm going to start recording, and then I'm going to say a little bit about you, and then we'll be recording the podcast. Okay. And everybody watching on all of the various different places where we're live streaming are seeing all of this, warts and all. It's not a clean stream, but here we are doing our thing. But I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. All right, welcome back to Speaking of Happy. I am Eli Rigatuso, your host, and we are still here live at Hastings Pride, recording my podcast so that we can send that out into the world and people can hear stories. We have some wonderful people that have joined us already. We spoke to TJ, we spoke to Sophia, and now we have in the trailer with us Danielle Hilligus, who works as direct support staff. In the fall, Danielle loves to walk with her daughter. In the summer, they love to do outdoorsy stuff, going on hikes and whatnot. And in the winter, they love to stay in and watch movies. So, Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. I do want to also say real quick, I want to give a big shout out and a great big thank you to Heartland Pride in Omaha for their amazing support of this project. Also want to thank Katera and Tyler for being here with me today and putting up with my stress mess, which when I was trying to get everything set up and we had crashing generators and all kinds of other stuff happening, they have been amazing. And they're sitting outside the trailer in the heat and helping check people in as we go through this whole process. So again, you're tuning into Speaking of Happy. I am Eli Rigatuso. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are going to get right into it. So I'm going to ask you one of the tough questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The toughest question. What does pride mean to you, Danielle?
It means essentially I can be out and open as myself. Like growing up, gay was a forbidden word. Lesbian was a forbidden word. You identify as that, you're out of the family. So with Pride being here, I can get more love here than what I did with my family.
Wow. So are you originally from Hastings?
No, I'm from Norfolk.
Okay. So is Norfolk smaller or larger than Hastings?
About 1,000 people smaller.
Oh, okay. So a little smaller.
Mhm.
I know they're starting to come around. I mean, they had their
Oh,
first
yeah.
Pride celebration last year, and they're going to have another one again today. So shout out to the folks in Norfolk. So happy that they're doing the work that they're doing. So can you tell me? And I totally get that. Like, I don't want to assume what your age is, and if you don't want to share, you certainly do not have to. But I know that for myself, I was born in 1965. And so, coming out, just coming out as someone who was part of the community was like unheard of. And, it wasn't until I was, late 80s that I even started to kind of grapple with where I thought I fit within that initialism, which one of those letters applies to me or works for me. And they've kind of changed over time. So, can you tell me, how do you identify yourself?
I identify as a demi-pansexual. I am attracted to everybody, but I have to have that emotional connection first.
Okay. And that's basically in a nutshell what that means. Yeah, that's so you made it so easy because people hear these things and they get so like deer in the headlights. Oh my God, not another thing already. So say that again.
Demi-pansexual.
And so you are attracted to everyone.
Yeah.
But you need to have an emotional connection 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. You made that so simple. That's it. That's the interview's over. Just kidding. So, all right. So Pride is being able to be here, be out, and be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me, what does it mean to be a part of the LGBTQIA2S plus community?
It just means I have more quote unquote family. Like, I have friends all over the spectrum, is what I call it. And they are more supportive than some of my own family, more supportive than some of my own upbringing. And being a part of it just means I've found the real me.
Wow. So can you tell me, I'm assuming that it was difficult to come to terms with who you are living in Norfolk.
Mm-hmm.
Did you wait until you left before you came out to family? Can you tell me a little bit about how that went?
I haven't came out to family for the simple fact that I had my daughter out of wedlock, and I was banned from any family function for 3 years.
Wow.
And coming out as anything but a cisgender heterosexual, that would just mean I wouldn't see my grandparents again, and they're 91 and 90 right now, and I don't know how much time I have left with them.
Wow. Well, I'm really sorry that you had to experience that. How old is your daughter?
She's 7.
Okay. So that's pretty fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Very traumatic to have to experience that. So I'm sorry that that was your experience with your family and that they shut you out like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know my mom does not care. She's the whatever, you can do whatever, just don't join a cult kind of parent.
Okay.
And my dad, he is hardcore right wing conservative. Like, he's pro gun, pro life, pro Trump, pro everything. And I'm just like,
that's hard. Yeah. Are your parents divorced?
Yes.
Okay. So that probably makes it a little bit easier. Do you have siblings?
Yes, I am in the middle child of 7.
Okay, so pretty large family.
Yeah.
And how are your siblings about it?
I'm the oldest of my dad's second marriage, and my middle sister and little sister all identify on the spectrum somewhere.
Okay.
The older ones do not.
Okay. That you know of.
That I know of.
Well, so it's nice then to have like in your family of birth, your birth family, there are other folks who identify somewhere within the LGBTQIA2S plus spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get some support there.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice. So can you tell me, do you have any happy coming out stories? Do you have any stories that that you think about and you're like, okay, well, that was unexpected?
It was actually last year at Pride when I did the march. I'm like, hey, so I was talking to my friend who's also pansexual, and I'm like, hey, you already know I'm demi, but I'm attracted to every human. Like, I get panic. I'm attracted to them, but then I have to develop the like emotional connection for anything else. And she goes, "You idiot, you're pansexual too." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Well, I wouldn't call you an idiot. I mean, I would say that you lacked a little bit of knowledge and awareness about what some of those things mean.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing that I wish people would understand. Like, really, a lot of this is just lacking the knowledge and awareness of what it means to be someone who identifies somewhere along that spectrum. And that they're really, we are not mentally ill, we are not sick, we are like regular, everyday, normal people that have, that have children, that have families, that have jobs, that are giving back to the community in some way. And so that's why I wanted to embark on this tour, to be able to have conversations with everyday people, right?
Yeah.
What do you wish people outside of the community understood about us, or more specifically about who you are?
One thing I wish people would stop assuming about pansexuals is we're not attracted to pans. Like, no, it's humans.
So
like,
literally, like,
yes, like a
okay.
cooking pan. My ex-fiance last year, I told him that, and he's like, "So we got to put up all the cookware," and I'm like, "I'm gonna take that cookware. I'm just gonna go right at you."
Let's see how it feels to have a pan upside the head.
Yeah.
You know what? I never would have even thought to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I guess when I first heard the term, to me, it was like there's a broader window, right? People that you would be attracted to sexually. Like, to me, kind of like a panoramic photo.
Yes,
right?
essentially. Like how bi is just like the bi color. It's just men or women. Pansexual, I see everybody attracted.
But you're not necessarily attracted to everyone.
Yeah. I
Right?
have my specifics.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So that actually, a lot of what you're sharing is very insightful, and I really appreciate it. Not that I didn't understand it, but I think folks that are tuning in and watching, may be having a better understanding about some of the things that we've already discussed. Let's see here. Where do you find support when you need it?
My friends, mainly my little sister, some of the friends that I've made family. I know the woman I call my sister, she's out in Omaha, but I know I can turn to her whenever.
So she's not your family by your sister by birth?
Mm-mm.
She's your sister from another mister?
Essentially.
Okay.
When she came out as trans, her family disowned her, and I'm like, Mom, you have another daughter. Her name is Sadie.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm really grateful that Sadie had that support of you, and that you have that support of Sadie. So that's really awesome. Let's see here. What do you wish was different about the way that others see our community?
We're not weirdos. We're just everyday normal people that we just don't fall into the heterosexual normalcy.
Yeah. And I mean, sexuality is a spectrum as well. And so it's just kind of sad when people kind of, look at it as, look, I was born assigned female and I'm only attracted to men. Period. Well, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very interesting. What else would you like to share? What are some other things that you would like to say or share about us and our community?
If you're terrified of coming out at home, you're going to find more support in the community. Like coming here and coming out, I've found more love. I've found more people to support me than I did when I lived in Norfolk. I've essentially found more of a family.
Yeah. How long have you lived here in Hastings?
Since 2018.
Okay. And so, like, I know that during the pandemic, They've had a number of prides here in Hastings, haven't they?
I don't know. I only attended last year.
Okay. Because I believe that Hastings has been having prides for a little while now. I know that Brandy Bozier, who lives here, I don't know if you know Brandy or not.
I've heard of her.
Yeah, she was one of the ones who actually spearheaded like the first pride here, and I know that she was
Yeah.
pretty involved in
Oh yeah.
things here now, which is cool. It's nice to have that. Like, I'm really like, I'm so surprised, like, just looking outside the trailer into the park, the number of booths that are set up and the number of people who have shown up. Like, who would have known that that was happening here in Hastings?
Yeah, it's definitely bigger than last year. I was a flag bearer also last year, and it's significantly bigger.
And by flag bearer, you carried one of the flags in the parade?
Yes, the pansexual flag.
Okay, awesome. And the parade itself, you all walk, right?
Yes.
And why is that they do a walking parade?
It's essentially to continue to march on for the rights for everybody of the community.
But you can't actually physically have vehicles, though, is the
No.
other thing, and that's because of Main Street, right?
Yes.
That can't be closed down.
No.
Okay. How many people would you say or estimate walked in the parade this year?
Oh gosh, we took several blocks. Like we went to each corner and it was just packed with people and we still had a little trail off to the edge.
Wow, that's so awesome. And you're talking about people that were lining the streets
Yeah.
to watch the parade. How many people actually walked?
That was for the walk. Nobody.
Oh, okay.
We had for all the honking and the waving, there had to be like over 50 honks that I counted.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
that's actually a positive.
Oh yeah.
Nobody yelling anything rude or mean or
I wasn't paying attention to that. I was just paying attention to the honks and just flailing my arm.
Well, that is really nice. I mean, it's just, it's heartwarming. I know that it's still difficult. What would you say to a young person who maybe couldn't come to Pride today, but wants to get connected with community? Are there spaces here for young people?
I know because I am a CCC college student. There's the Gender and Sexualities Alliance. I don't know about Hastings College. I think there is one there. PFLAG has a Facebook group called PFLAG Hastings, and that's where you can get involved. I always see a lot of posts from everybody, and there's monthly coffee shop and monthly like activity hangout.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. So what else? What else can you share with me? We still got about 15 minutes left to fill. Nothing?
No, the heat has really been getting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty brutally hot out there, and
yeah.
I'm so grateful that we were able to get the AC running in the trailer properly because that was just a nightmare. I mean, I still have a few more kinks to work out
Yeah.
with the whole setup and the whole situation so that I can do multi-camera live streaming and some other things, but we'll get those worked out at another time.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you know what, Danielle, thank you so much for signing up. Really appreciate you, wanting to be a part of this and share your story. It means a lot. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this Pride Tour is because I really wanted to meet just everyday people and how important it is to see something like this happening in a small community like Hastings. I mean, because I know for all the people that are actually here, there are a ton of young people that aren't able to be here because of families who wouldn't allow them to be.
Yeah.
So I think it gives people hope to know that something like this is happening in their city. And again, Daniela, thank you so much. Like I said, if there's anything else you want to say, you're going to need to do it now because we're going to close it up.
I'm fine.
All right. Well, like I said, we are here at Hastings Pride in Hastings, Nebraska. I just had a lovely conversation with Danielle Hilligus, who works as a direct support staff and has a beautiful daughter. You know what? We didn't even talk about your daughter. Maybe we should talk about that. We have some time left.
Yeah, I'm very proud of her.
Okay, let's talk about that. I want to turn that music off.
I was sitting there talking to somebody at the booths, and I'm like, wait a second. My daughter has no hetero cisgender godparents. They're either gay, lesbian, transgender, male to female. a pansexual, demisexual like myself, and a sapio demisexual. And the sapio is where if you can keep them engaged in a conversation, you have these deep intellectual talks, they can find you attractive. Because I had to ask my friend, I'm like, okay, what? And my daughter, I've been trying to raise her the best I can. She sees no hate. She will, if you want a hug, she will like smother you with a hug.
Aw.
And at a young age, she, because with my sister Sadie, we were always hanging out a lot, and she was talking about to me about Sadie, and I'm like, because she's seen one of her pictures I was looking through, and she goes, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "That's your Aunt Sadie before transition." And she's like, "What?" So I had to sit there and say, Aunt Sadie was born in the wrong body.
Mm.
So she takes special medicine to put her in the right body.
Wow.
And at 4 years old, she could grasp that. And that's one thing I wish that a lot more people could get is kids are pretty smart, but if you just explain it, like with the transgender, they're born in the wrong body. These medicines put them in the right body. Or with one of my friends, she likes girls like how your memo likes your peepaw. Or with one of my gay friends, he likes boys like how your peepaw likes your memo.
Yeah. Love is love.
Yeah, and she gets that and she supports it. She was actually quite mad her aunt didn't bring her down here.
So she's not here for the
No.
celebration today?
No.
Oh no, that's a bummer. This is the place to be when you're a kiddo. I mean, like rainbows and all kinds of fun stuff happening, and what a great thing. But it's very cool. Like we hear a lot that people say, "What are we going to say to our kids? How are we going to explain this to our kids?" And what you just illustrated was so beautiful because kids do get it.
Yeah.
And they are a lot more understanding of, and it's like people worry that kids are going to, that somehow it's going to impact their gender, and the truth of the matter is it doesn't.
No.
Like gender's pretty solid, I think, in most people. Yeah. And so it's not as fluctuating as most people would think.
Yeah, because I got in trouble with somebody I used to know. Why are you letting her play with dinosaurs and cars? Why not? Okay, toys aren't boy or girl. Just like if I were to have a son, I'm going to give him a baby doll because you know what that's going to turn him into? One hell of a dad. He's going to be the active, in there, up all night changing diapers kind of parent.
Yeah, exactly. And that there doesn't have to be gendered roles within his family.
No.
Yeah. Beautiful. See, I'm so glad we said something so that you could share about your amazing kiddo, and be sure to let your child know, let her know that it's pretty awesome and that her community loves her and that we missed her today. I would have loved to have said hello to her and had a little chat with her. So anything else you want to say before we go? Anything you'd like to say to the folks who put the Pride celebration together?
Thank you guys so much. I have never in a million years thought I would be able to attend Pride here 1 year, let alone 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that is it for this interview. Again, Danielle, thank you so much. Appreciate you. For those of you who are listening to this podcast, this event more than likely has already come and gone. We have been live streaming on Facebook and YouTube and all kinds of different places. Of course, it seems weird on the live stream because I had a camera die on me. And so there's only one camera on me and one camera on my guest. And you can go and see see one of those views if you want to. But the podcast itself is going to be available on Anchor FM. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Well, there we go. I'm going to pause this and I am going to turn off this, end this broadcast.